well, I'm sharing this because I keep a gratitude journal. Every year I keep a gratitude journal. In fact, it's just ongoing, and I just draw and I paint what I'm grateful for. And then that usually turns into a card, or it stays in my sketchbook, and I just have a lot of fun with it. And so I have an attitude of gratitude in my art. And because it's Thanksgiving and I just love nature, I thought, what better way to show my gratitude than to just pick up a couple of these beautiful leaves and kind of show you how I would paint them, and why gratitude means so much to me. I just love these shapes. The one that really caught my eyes was actually this one. This one is so gorgeous. I love the yellow, and there's like there's like Venetian red, but I could also see a little bit of purple. And so we're just going to play with the shapes of these leaves. I love this one. This one has some green and some Venetian red and some yellow ochre and some Quin Sienna. And my plan is to just enjoy painting these. I'm actually just going to trace them on paper, and then I'm just going to paint them and see what comes of it. And it's just going to be a fun little joy afternoon for me. I have been feeling really stressed, and I haven't been able to paint for a while, and I thought finally today I can paint. And so you're just kind of coming with me to paint along. So anyways, this is going to be a mindfulness activity for me, but it's also going to be fun for you. So I will be doing a voiceover while I paint, because I want to actually enjoy my process. But I'll give you kind of what I'm thinking here, so you got an idea. So I have some orange colored leaves and some red-ish leaves and some yellow-ish leaves, and somehow it all works. And they don't look like, some of them look like they came from separate trees. This is an oak leaf, that's a maple leaf, and same thing here, that's an oak leaf and an oak leaf, and then these are maple leaves. But I don't know what kind of variety, but they're just fun. Anyways, I have Quin Gold, yellow ochre, and because I love triads, these are triads, triangles, violet and this orange or yellow orange, they will complement each other. And then I also have sap green to kind of go with it if I need some sap green, or if I am going to do more of the reddish tones, I can come over here and I can see, here's the reddish, the darker. If I do red with green, I get a darker green, but then you got blue, and then of course yellow for the primary colors. So I have the reds, Venetian red, yellow ochre, and Quin Gold, and Indigo or Cerulean for my primary. So I am set. This is all the colors that I would need to get everything here. And I'm just going to play. I also have my pie plate. Haha, I don't make pies very often, but I love it for my watercolor palette. And get yourself a white ceramic pie plate, and you will be on your way to greatness. Alright, so I have leaves, and what I'm going to do, I got my kneaded eraser and my HB2 pencil. Any pencil will do, you don't need anything. But I'm just going to arrange these leaves on my 9x12 cold press 140 watercolor paper in a composition that I like. And I'm not really looking at the colors, I'm really just looking at the shapes and the relationship, the spatial awareness. And then I'm going to trace those leaves, and I am actually, this is like twice the speed, so I did take my time on tracing them, and I had to kind of keep my hands on the leaves a bit because they're not the easiest to trace. But then I would go in with my pencil line and just kind of smooth out those edges. I realized that like it didn't actually matter once the painting process started, but at the beginning I wanted to try it. So something that I like about the autumn leaves is that there's no leaf that is perfect, but I pick leaves that have a good shape. Maybe the color, maybe it's the shape, maybe it's just the tree. You know, I have a couple trees in my yard that I just love, and I wanted to preserve those leaves, right? Like, so anyways, I'm just enjoying this process, and you can see that I'm holding my pencil really lightly. It's almost like I'm painting with my pencil. I'm not paying attention to detail. I'm not getting in there like, you know, I'm not holding my pencil that close to the paper. So I'm just having this loose and free kind of time with the pencil, which helps me be more creative, and I'm not actually worried about my lines either. I love this exercise because it really helps me play with color and shapes and texture, and I can have a lot of fun with it. So that's what I'm doing here. I have a lot of fun just tracing. Leaves are so much fun. I love the shapes of these maple leaves, and the place that I go to really just feel loved in nature is at a forest, at a state park close to our house actually, and I just love all the different colors this time of year. The maple and the oaks, it's just a wonderland. I just love it. And so these came from the forest floor, and so you'll see my paintings that I actually make the background pretty dark because I love the forest floor, and I think the forest floor is just as pretty as the trees, as the leaves falling. So anyways, I do always say that like a good painting always starts with a good line drawing. So that's why you see me taking my time with this, is because I really want to get the lines just perfect like the leaves would. And I think the leaves deserve like authenticity, right? Anyways, so there we go, and I'm going to reuse some of those leaves that I used before and make some more at the bottom. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I decided to just continue this leaf pattern motif and get some more leaves. So that's what I'm doing, and it's just fun. It's just a fun, you could do this and then come back to it later and paint it, but it's just a fun way to preserve leaves and the colors and the shapes. It's just, I find it very peaceful and relaxing, and I bet you will too. There's no right or wrong way, and you don't have to be an artist to do this, or draw. You don't have to be a good drawer to do this exercise. It's just fun to play around. Once I got my leaves just right and just so, I decided that I needed to clean up my lines. So you'll see that I used a kneaded eraser and I just took off the extra graphics. All right, now it's time to kind of get ready. So I have two medium round brushes and a dagger brush that I'm using. And on the screen, I'm going to put all the colors that I'm using. This is yellow ochre, and that is going to be like my base yellow. And you'll see that I use yellow ochre and then golden quinacridone gold as like a base color for yellow. I love quin gold. The quinacridones have this beautiful bright but warmth. Usually there's some warmth to it, but this quin gold is just gorgeous. And then I have Quin Sienna, which is more orangey than gold, but it is just gorgeous. It does definitely have that sienna color. And then Aussie Red Gold is another one of my favorites. That's more indicative to orange, but I just love this Aussie Red Gold for fall colors. And then with the oranges and the yellows, I'm going to put my indigo. Oh, nope, sorry, not ready yet. Venetian red is next. I like to have some red. And core watercolor is very pigmented, so a little goes a long way. You could see how much pigment got on that. Now I'm putting indigo next to my reds and oranges, because if I wanted a muted color, blue is my go-to hue to tone down the oranges. Cerulean Blue is a very like simple, it's almost like I just call it like a mild blue. It doesn't really pack a punch, but it's great for toning down things. And then I have sap green, cobalt violet, and I'm also using some quinacridone violet with the Quin gold. It will just make for beautiful, beautiful painting. So now we got our pigment on our pie plate and we're ready to go. Alright, to start, I just have some beautiful yellow ochre on my medium round brush, and I'm just painting. You can use whatever brush you have. I recommend a round brush for this just because it's easier for me to paint with, but if you have a flat brush, you can use a flat brush. I'm just blocking in color and I'm just letting it kind of bleed on the paper. I really want a good solid block, and then I'm going to go in with some purples to just get the vein of the leaves to really be beautiful. And you can kind of see I'm adding some Quin gold to go with it, just to make it bleed into the quinacridone, or into the yellow ochre. I love the two colors together, the gold, the yellow ochre and the Quin gold really just sets off fall colors for me. It's so indicative to fall. It just makes my heart happy. So anyways, all right, there's the cobalt violet. It doesn't really pack a punch, but it's there, and it just kind of is a beautiful color to use, like to get a nice little brownish purple. Cobalt violet kind of has its own rules, and if you know how to use it, you can get this gold and purple to really look beautiful in fall landscapes and in nature. And so that is what I'm doing. I'm just adding it wet onto wet, and then I see that I maybe got a little bit more puddles than I would like, so that's why I use my towel. I'm just dabbing off the water so that I'm not dealing with puddles. Alright, next one, I'm going to do this other maple leaf, and I'm going straight in with the Quin gold because I just love that color. It makes my heart so happy. And I'm blocking that in. And while I'm doing this, I'm also thinking about the gratitude that I have for these beautiful leaves. Once I have the leaf painted, I'm going to go in with that Venetian red and look at that beautiful pigment. And then I'm going to take the back of my paintbrush and I'm going to just kind of make a mark with that paint and just kind of move it around. And that's going to give the veins to the leaf. So I'm not using a whole lot of pressure, just a little bit of pressure, just enough to make an indent in the paper, and then I'm adding that Venetian red, and that Venetian red just wants to go straight into the lines that I created. So it's really a fun effect for leaves. It's actually one of my favorites. Alright, let's do an oak. Oak leaves are so much fun. I like the shape. I love the asymmetricalness of some of these oak leaves, and then some of them are very symmetrical, so it's just fun to paint with. But I'm going to start with wet into wet, and this is actually Quin Sienna that I'm using. I love Quin Sienna for the beautiful orange, and then that's where I get my cerulean, and I make that really, it just tones down the burnt sienna, or the raw, the quinacridone sienna. You could use regular sienna and be alright too, but I really love the quinacridone that comes, like the pigment is finely milled, and so that's where you get that beautiful bright sienna color. But you can use burnt sienna and get kind of the same thing with the blue. And now I'm going to go in and just add a little bit more of that regular sienna just to make the orange pop a bit. And it really does make a difference when you put it on the paper. You'll see that subtlety, but it's so pretty. It's so gorgeous. And then I decided to get a little bit more messier, and I'm going to add some splatter. And this is just a little bit of that darker blue mixed with that orange. And then I'm actually going to let the color bleed. And I love this effect. I just absolutely love this effect. Look at the blue tones in it, along with the yellows and the oranges. Like, it's just gorgeous. And I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to come back and add more form to it in just a little bit. But I really wanted to get some of that beautiful dark splatters from the leaf that I saw. And this is where it gets fun, and you can really use your own creativity and just let the watercolor paint itself on the paper. And if you feel that this is hard to paint outside the lines, that's okay. Trust the process. It will dry a lot lighter, and you can always go in later and form up those lines. Watercolor is so forgiving in that aspect. It looks like a mess right now, but it really isn't. So what you saw me do is I just wet the whole leaf with watercolor. The paper was already a little bit wet, so I'm going to get these really nice soft lines, and I'm just going to go in and add, this is actually indigo that I'm adding to that beautiful sienna that I had, and it's just a little bit lighter, and that's okay. That's what I wanted. And then I'm just going to add some more of that indigo. Look at that beautiful indigo with that orange. It just like browns everything up. Instead of it looking super blue, it's brown. Oh, it makes me so happy. And I'm using my paintbrush, the end of my paintbrush, and I'm just drawing in those veins so that the darker blue indigo mixed with the raw sienna make this beautiful brown that I could only get in nature. I couldn't get it from the tube. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, now I'm going to finish up another maple leaf, and it's going to be, I'm using Aussie Red and Quin Gold, and same process. I try not to outline too much, but sometimes with these leaves you kind of have to, and that's okay. And you see that I'm only adding a little bit of that deeper orangey gold color that's mixed on my palette, because I want the bright yellow to show. Alright, this is the Venetian red mixed with a little bit of indigo, and I am now just trying to control. Sometimes you do need that a little bit of water control, but it works. And then I'm just gonna kind of be very liberal with my lines. I'm not thinking about if it's messy yet, because I can always go back in later and make it look a bit nicer. And then all the splatter. I love the drama that comes with splatter and the texture that comes with splatter. It just makes me so happy. Alright, I'm going to move that yellow, that beautiful that beautiful Quin Gold, and I'm moving it all around. And you might think, oh my gosh, I just ruined all my lines. I didn't. This is all part of the plan. I just love seeing the watercolor whoosh on the paper, and it almost, you know how sculptors kind of see their shape when they're sculpting, but you can't actually see it. That's kind of the process that I'm at right now, where I can see where the lines are, but until you actually do the work, you probably won't see where I'm coming from until after I start doing my background. Alright, and I know in art school they're like, don't outline and then color in, but sometimes with watercolor, when it's wet into wet like this, there's no other good way to do it. And so I say, do what makes sense with watercolor. And besides, this is just a playful time. This has got to be one of my favorite leaves that I painted. I really love the dark and the midtones and the deep reds that I chose. The Venetian red from Core is second to none. I use Venetian red all the time, and it never lets me down. I just love Venetian red, and I'm just really playing with the colors and the drama in this leaf. Alright, then I'm going to go into this next oak leaf, and again I'm just using a simple, it's almost like blocking in color. I'm not, and it's alright that I am adding other colors into it. I just, at this point I'm in my flow state, which is really, really nice to be in, and I'm just letting the watercolor tell me what it needs. And you can tell that I'm just having fun because I'm playing around with my colors and the textures. And there was a puddle, so I wanted to make sure that that was cleaned up. Yeah, that beautiful Quin Sienna. It's just sometimes my favorite. And I lost that edge right there, but that's okay. It's still really pretty, and once it dries, it looks all right. It's actually really pretty. Alright, so I'm still using that beautiful Quin Sienna and Aussie Red Gold for this one. I haven't used a lot of Aussie Red Gold, but in this one I wanted to because I really wanted it to be a little bit different hue than the other leaves. And then you'll see me just kind of play around with that Venetian red, and I'm just kind of getting some of that beautiful, I love how the colors just blend on the paper. If you want to take your watercolor to the next level, don't mix your watercolor on your palette, mix it on the paper, and you will find that that is how artists like to paint. And that's how you will get that beautiful color that you've been missing. At least it was for me. And then I just kind of, yeah, let the watercolor paint itself, right? Like, let watercolor be watercolor. Don't control it. I think that's why I love watercolor so much, is because I don't have to control it. It can just do its beautiful thing. All right, so now I am going back in and I'm going to negative paint the leaves so you can kind of see where my leaves are, where I want the edges of my leaves to be. And I'm using a very dark indigo and violet, Quin Violet. That's where my dark violets are coming into play. And you'll see I just have a lot of fun making these, making the background just go. And so I know that if I want a darker background, I can use a violet, in this case it's Quin Violet, and then I can put orange on top of it, and it's just going to look beautiful. And I'm trying to decide, negative painting takes a lot of practice, so this is necessarily a good practice for negative painting because you can really learn exactly how to paint. Now I could have just left the background the way it was with the splattering and but I really wanted to get a better look at, you know, the leaves. I wanted the leaves to pop, and one of the ways that I make the leaves pop is by using a darker value of the complement color of the leaves. So because we're using yellows and oranges, that's where I'm getting the blue for the orange, and the yellow is the purple. And then I just keep going over and over until I get the right shape. It does take practice and it takes a lot of time, but I think negative painting in watercolor is so fun. You can lose yourself in this watercolor process, and it is just phenomenal. It's just a fun way to paint. I'm just going in and I'm outlining my leaves with dark indigo paint. It is very thick. It is probably a 50% water, 50% tube paint ratio, so it is really thick. And when my brush is spent, I just go back in and get more paint, and you can see that my paint is pretty much spent, but I'm still wanting to get some lines in and just kind of clean up the edges with a clean brush because I don't have any more pigment on my brush. But I'll go back in, load up my brush with that thick indigo paint, and then paint some more. And I will also, on my palette, which you're not seeing right now, but I'll have my indigo and my violet next to each other. So I'll have like a little bit of both. I kind of get the best of both worlds. And so on my brush is a little bit of violet just to have that beautiful transition of watercolor. And I really want that orange and that green to pop, so I'm adding a lot of dark right in here because I really want it to pop. Now I switch my paper around and I'm gonna go to the maple and work on this shape. I am working in like double speed, but you can see that violet with the with the indigo, and it's really pretty. I love using violet, quinacridone violet, and indigo together for a what I would call a mouse color or a gray color, and it really makes that yellow pop. I love color theory. I feel like you can totally make your eye see something that you can't by using color to evoke feelings and to evoke what you see, and it's just a fun way to play with color. All right, so I'm gonna continue doing this for another hour, so I'm not gonna bore you with the process, but this is how it goes. I just add a little bit of pigment, add some violet or indigo, or maybe there's some soft green into it, and I just have fun and put on some good music. This is like the most realistic part of painting. But it is so much fun, and I feel that the results are well worth the effort. Alright, so as I am continuing to negative paint, I just want to share that I love negative painting. I used to avoid it at all costs, and this is a great exercise where if you are avoiding negative painting, to just do it and have fun. The worst that's going to happen is that you played with your pigments and your shapes, and you just played with your art skills and got better, and that's really all it took for me. And I would do exercises probably daily to help me with my negative painting. I feel like negative painting is one of the best ways to become a watercolor artist, and you can have a lot of fun with it. So keep playing with your negative shapes. You can have a lot of fun. What changed my mind about negative painting is, oh wait, there's no rules. I can add whatever colors I want to the background and get it as dark or as light as I wanted it. And that changed so much for me. And it just really opened up a whole new world once I realized, like, there's no rules for negative painting, just have fun. And if you like it, then I bet other people will too. And yeah, I should have probably used a bigger brush here. And I kept thinking, I need a bigger brush, but I was in the moment. And when you're in the moment of painting, you just want to enjoy the whole process. And so that's what I was doing. But this is also a great time to mention that, like, mindfulness, watercolor really is about just seeing what the painting needs, and what I thought it needed was more purple. So purple is one of my favorite go-to colors. I love gray purples in nature. It just makes me so happy, especially this time of year when the leaves are pretty much bare and they're all on the ground. The leaves are all on the ground. I see so many purple hues in nature, and it just makes me so happy and so grateful that I can see different shadows, different grays of purples and blues, and you can't get that in summer. So I am grateful for all the seasons. I live in the Des Moines, Iowa area, And so we have a lot of trees and a lot of forests and rivers, and everything is just kind of gray. But if you look past the gray, you can see beautiful purples and beautiful oranges and how they work together, and it's just beautiful. So anyways, keep negative painting, keep looking for those shadows in nature, and you will just have so much fun. I think this would be a fun nature journaling piece as well. If you are a nature journaler, paint nature, paint the colors. Like, there's a book on color nature journaling, so you're just using your colors to basically journal the colors that you see in nature. And I've done that experience a lot, and that's how it has helped me get the right colors. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my dagger brush, and I'm actually being pretty liberal with with these lines, but I'm just adding detail back. The veins is what really like made me want to paint these leaves. So I am using my dagger brush, the side of the dagger brush, and I'm just making those veins. And I'm using a purpley, I'm using Quin Violet and Venetian Red to make those veins. So nothing super fancy, but I really like it. And I'm also gonna just try and make the veins a little subdued with a clean damp brush, and I'm just going in and adding my details. Now this one is going to be sap green, and I decided, oh, it needs more green, it needs more splatter. So I'm splattering that, and then while it is drying, I'm taking that Aussie Red with the Indigo, just to give the orange a bit of a rust color. I'm going to tone it down, and I'm actually using the leaf here to get my veins right. I do like having artistic license with the color, but then when it comes to the veins, I want to make sure that my veins are symmetrical or asymmetrical, and that they look fairly realistic. I don't want my veins to look unrealistic, but I also want to have fun with my color and my texture. So I'm getting the best of both worlds at this point. And you'll see that some leaves get a lot more detail than others. Like this one, I really loved how the detail was, so I wanted to leave it kind of where it was. I'm just doing a simple, just simple veins, and really I'm not thinking about it too much. But oh my gosh, if we're getting to the end of this video, if you found this video to be helpful, I would sure love a subscribe and a like button. I'd love to know what your favorite leaf was that I painted. And have you tried painting leaves? Because I'd love to hear about that too. And have you negative painted? Because sometimes I feel that once we learn negative painting, your whole world of watercolor really opens up to you. But anyways, happy painting. At the end, you'll see this the beautiful finished result. I may next year cut it up into pieces for a fall card or two, but this was just a fun nature journaling excursion. I wanted to paint my gratitude on paper, and that's what came from it. So thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the beautiful colors of the autumn season, and have an attitude of gratitude. Thanks so much for watching. Happy painting, everyone.